Hello and welcome back to Gary Weaver Versus of the Devil, episode 2. Apologies, it's been a little while since the last one of these. I've had a cough for the last month, so I have been unable to record a visual novel without coughing my lungs up. But I'm feeling a bit better now, well enough to continue on, and which is really good because I've been looking forward to getting back to this. I love this game. Right, Makoto. How dare they? After all, they put him through down there in that festering hole of a city district to try and kill Sasuke in the courtroom of all places. The nerve of those blue blood scum. If we just wait for him to stop, we'll be standing here until morning. So, should we speak up? I don't know, I'm terrible with children. Listen, just keep nodding, and if he calms down enough to ask a non-rhetorical question, get my attention. What are you going to do? Try consulting an expert. What do kids your age like? Not my B-day. Not asking for you. And I'm not a kid. So I wouldn't know. If it's for Sarah, I'm not a robot either. What would someone younger than you like? IDK. Even one grade below me. Their sense of humour is impenetrable. Other day, the school announced they're going to be doing test prep at every grade level. And the top comment, before it got deleted, was a picture of a fish with boots. And the caption was, battering me and frying me in oil for 4 minutes on each side. It's not that impenetrable. It's very basic non sequitur. How's this for non sequitur? Go ask someone else. All you did there was get back on topic. Why are you even asking? I've been hired by youth. And I need to interrupt their temper tantrum. Well, what do you want me to do from here? Hack them some fork knife bucks? Wow. Fork knife bucks. What is that? Would that work? Also, what do you mean a youth hired ya? Oh. So there must be rich? Yes. I'm like the worst to ask for advice then. What do I know about rich kids? Your academy is full of them. What do you think? I'd do as much of my schoolwork as possible from my dorm. Don't you at least have a roommate? Nope. Never got assigned one. Guess there was some kind of unavoidable computer error on their end. Fran is great. This is hopeless. You're usually good at gift giving and shit. Buttering up judges. Bribing court officials. Slipping coins into viziers' purses. You have a very antiquated view of what my work entails. Medieval, in fact. I heard he passed. Did you know him? The music stopped. Whatever photo that is, failed to send. GDI. I mean, what would you do if they were a rich adult? Flatter them or whatever? Rich adults are used to people wanting their money. Flattery puts them on guard. So what's the approach? You approach them as though you already work for them. Pretend you're a butler. acting on wordless commands they've given without an original thought in your head. They aren't suspicious of anyone they feel they already own. That mostly makes sense. So do that. They've probably got more in common with rich adult and kids their own age. Or, you know, anyone else with a soul. Unless there's some reason you can't do your iconic butler technique here. Because I don't want to act subservient to a child. Sasuke did strain himself slightly when he tried to tackle me to the ground. Tried. Because she weighs so much and is like rock steady. But that was the extent of it. Yes, as my ad says, no one was hurt. Well, the attacker was part of an officer-involved shooting, but no one else was hurt. Oh, well, then perhaps we should just forgive all and make peace. Those fools will regret their actions. The anger of the house, once roused, is not easily satisfied. Shit, I thought there was a lull, but he's ready to start back up again. As Sun Tzu says, if your opponent is out of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Well, yes, but... Please calm yourself, Makoto of House Ikariya. We need to speak with you. About what? About Sasuke. Yep. You think he's done something to deserve this? That's not what I... There's nothing Sasuke could have done to justify what those blue bloods have put him through. I assumed as much, but... Makoto has no idea what the Hound of Ikariya was doing up until a year ago, does he? Honestly, I wouldn't put it past him as he does know it and he thinks it's justified. These questions are foolish. I'll not waste my time. A wise man can learn more from a foolish question than a fool can learn from a wise answer. Quote the Bhagavad Gita all you want, robot girl. It is not impressive for a machine to... Bruce Lee said that. Well, he was probably paraphrasing at the time. Will you help us or not, Makoto? Please? If it's for Sasuke, enough. Electric blue irises flash a deadly glare. The room's shadow seems to extend in his presence, curling and deepening like ink dropped into water. That's a gangster. Chairman! All of you, show some respect, now! He says out of practice without actually looking around the room. One glance would have shown him there was no need to demand respect. Every head was already bowed. This is a man who is used to others not meeting his eyes. The rest of you get lost. Their practiced obedience didn't betray them. They all slipped away into the halls of the complex without so much as a creak on the floorboards. And even so, their anxiety was screaming at me like a bad tale begging to be taken advantage of. His presence here today was not expected. Now then. Come here, Makotan. Grandpa! Haha, how are things on the front lines, huh? Makoto is the heir, so the chairman is his grandfather, of course, but... My little warlord making his enemies tremble with fear every time he sets foot out the door. I was not expecting the head of a house of nobility to be so... affectionate. I thought you and father were still in the capital. Well, we were. And we made a lot of powerful people in that city very frustrated while we were at it. And made a lot of frustrating people very powerful, I'm sure. Wish I'd seen their dumb faces solemnly nodding when I cancelled my meetings. Just to fly home and see my grandson, bahaha, anime face. Chairman, apologies for the lack of an introduction. This is, I know exactly who she is. She's our lawyer. Any good? She is not entirely incompetent. I would hope he could say more than that. And she is also somewhat perceptive, Chairman. Knows when to keep her mouth shut, clearly. How bad can she be? Her methods are odd. She came here to ask me about Sasuke for some reason. Aha! Not another word. Chairman? Back in the storehouse on the second floor, there's a cask of sake that I won in a drinking game 5, or I suppose it's been 6 years ago now. Would you go and fetch it for your grandfather? Of course, but... Old trick of the trade, one sip and anything we tell her becomes inadmissible in court. I see, very clever, Chairman. Makoto is allowed to drink sake? The hell's wrong with you? Of course he can't drink. It's the ceremony of it all, damn it. Understood. I'll go retrieve it right away. Have one of those layabouts that were in here fetch you a ladder first. Make them earn their keep for once. Put on a suit and a pair of glasses and they think they can just stand there for the rest of their career, you lazy. Read your damn emails if you've got nothing better to do. Should we be seated a certain way for... There is no cask of sake. Oh. But then the strategy of becoming intoxicated in order to avoid... I made that up. You're the lawyer? There any truth to what I said? No need for tricks like that. Attorney-client privilege already binds my hands. I'm working for House Ikariya right now, Sarah. I mean, hell. Makoto could confess to me that he's a mass murderer and I wouldn't be able to tell a soul. So then why did you send Makoto away, Mr. Chairman, sir? I want to walk the gardens. Are we supposed to follow him? He left that part unsaid. How can you tell? Because he didn't say it. Hey, quick strategy meeting. You know what a butler is, right? I'm glad you have such an appreciation for attorney-client privilege, sir. It makes these conversations go much smoother. Is that an underwater bridge there? What is this? But if you trust privilege so much, why don't you trust your grandson to be here? Don't kid yourself, Copper. That boy is the future of this family. If I didn't trust him, there would be no point to any of this. Everything I've built. Dynasties aren't dynasties unless you manage to actually pass them down. What you've built in the last 30 years is undeniably impressive. It must have required astonishing brutality. Progress is brutality. And history is unkind to the gentle. Is that why you orchestrated the fall of the leaves? To get your name in the history books? Orchestrated, so grand, so full of it. We knocked on their doors, and when they opened them, we shot them. Walked up to them in the street and split their stomachs wide. Pulled up beside them and let loose full auto on their limos. It wasn't anything as complicated as orchestrated. I executed. Okay. CEO Ikariya Financial Group, bodybuilding, archery, and bonsai. I like 2 of those. Dislikes phones at the dinner table. Look at that expression on the right, bloody hell. Undefeated at enduring, or enjoying spicy food. I see, the enduring is Morgan's interpretation. She doesn't like spicy food, apparently. Smells like cedar, tobacco, iron, and dried blood. Vice-like handshake. I executed, and my uncle named me his successor for it. The Blue Bloods weren't even able to put up a fight? They were worried about handshake events and social media perception. Thought that their friends in high places would be there when they needed them. Thought they had already won. So how'd you get away with it? Good timing. No one notices a leaky faucet in a downpour. This was right before the Red Decade got underway. And once the borders started locking up, there was no chance of reinforcements. We never saw it coming. We didn't know there was a bubble. We didn't think things would get that bad. That's what they always say. The losers. Oh, there's that expression. The scapegoats paraded in front of the courts and cameras to meekly reassure the national audience that no, you couldn't have done anything. You did everything right, so did we. We're all victims of uncontrollable market forces here. Stale bread for piss-poor circus. With a pity party instead of proper gladiators. I saw the signs, but more importantly, I didn't ignore them. Droughts from heaven, no grain in the storehouses. There'd only be room for one family of thieves in this city, and I made sure it was mine. Last call, all aboard. And everything you've built since? Renegan, Aurea Holdings, the legitimate half you're so proud of? That was the easy part, actually. Reprivatizing an industry is tricky business. How do you break up a state-controlled monopoly into a healthy, diverse, and competitive private marketplace? How? Dunno, I'll let you know if they ever pull it off. The shitshow they did go with was easily gamed. Sprinkle some cash into the right bureaucrats' pockets and we were able to snap up entire economies wholesale. We being the nobility? If that's the term you prefer. Adone, why is he confessing? He's not confessing, Sarah. This is bragging. Mr. Ikariya, I'm not looking to take up too much of your time, but perhaps you could help me understand something. The inciting incident, as they say. In screenwriting? No, Sarah. They said elsewhere too, probably. I wonder if she got that from Sarah, because she looked almost embarrassed about admitting that that's where she got it from. A year ago you extended an olive branch to the Blue Bloods over Nirvana. Was it genuine? My curiosity was genuine. Then know your financing? Is that why it fell apart? Why Makoto was attacked? It fell apart because those first gens of Youngbloods of theirs are hot-headed idiots who can't follow orders. But I expected as much, that's why I ordered my hound to be present, on standby. My hound, not the hound. My hound. But he didn't assassinate anyone that day, did he? No. Sorry, something's just clicked. I don't know if I've omitted, realised this before. Apologies if I have. Like I said, it's been a month. He took Sasuke into his family to keep the little lord close. I probably realised that before, but it's just hit me again. No. Instead, Sasuke stepped in front of a blade that was headed for Makoto. And he's been guarding the boy with his life ever since. Sorry, hang on. The ... Yeah, I think this is him saying that Sasuke is the Little Lord. And maybe I'm looking for confirmation bias here, but, it fell apart because those first gens and Youngbloods couldn't follow orders. And he knew that would be the case, which is why he wanted the Hound to be present. He wanted to flaunt in front of them, we have the key to your success. And it's like, yeah, he doesn't need to kill anyone. The fact that he is present is enough. I wonder. Ooh. He's been guarding the boy with his life ever since. I wonder, is it possible that Sasuke was assigned as Makoto's bodyguard not so that Makoto would be protected, but so Sasuke would be protected? Because Makoto was already surrounded by essentially the best security that Ikariya can provide. So putting Sasuke there is both a stealthy and pretty secure way to keep him safe. Ha! Whereas sending him out on missions, all it would take is a blue blood to recognize him. But what curiosity? His curiosity was genuine. He extended the olive branch. So it's not a curiosity of they offered this and he wanted to see if they meant it. He offered it because he was curious, what, if they would recognize Sasuke? Was that your order as well? My order, yes. Not my idea. Oh. Oh, maybe never mind that thing I just said then. But I'm the patriarch, not a dictator. If my sweet siblings and darling nieces and nephews make an earnest request, who am I to refuse? You had to be pressured into letting Sasuke guard Makoto? Weren't you concerned about Makoto's safety? Of course I was. I just know the best place for the queen is on the attack, not hopping around the king's sides blocking checks. That is true. That actually addresses something I've been wondering. Why would you assign your most effective assassin to be a bodyguard? Hey, chess metaphor, help me out. Any piece can sacrifice themselves, but there's only one queen, and she has by far the most mobility. It is better to keep her out in the open, ideally, near the centre of the field, where she can attack freely. At least assuming you subscribe to... Okay, got it. But here's the question. Why have the Blue Bloods kept trying to capture Makoto for over a year now? Because of some hot-tempered idiots? What's your answer? Why do you think they would want to capture our little Mako-tan? Well, his blood is worthless to them. The ransom is not going to be worth the trouble. Revenge is the most likely. Or it's not. I mean, I still think they're not going for Makoto. I still think they're going for Sasuke. But it's whether, if I choose no reason, and it's like them going, well, there is no reason to do it, it's actually this. Or if she's going to go, well, no reason, they're just doing it randomly. I'm going to try revenge just because I don't think Morgan is on my wavelength at the moment. The Blue Bloods aren't lacking in motives for revenge. A bloody culling followed by 3 decades of humiliation is more than enough. But the most fitting revenge would involve them killing Makoto, not taking him captive. And while I can imagine plenty of ways to extract revenge from a living subject, gangs have to maintain a balance between being feared and being tolerated. If the Blue Bloods proudly tortured a child to death, they'd run out of their lower wards by their own constituents. Yeah, there's no reason. Well, they wouldn't want to capture Makoto. They don't. Alright, so picking that isn't she was already on my wavelength, that gets her on my wavelength. That is her moment of realization. A certain mama said as much to my face. They'd much rather kill your soul heir than capture him. It's what I'd do. If they had any heirs left. But then, why keep attacking Makoto if not to capture or kill him? Their goal's never been Makoto, it's just that every time they've gone after their goal, Makoto's been there. You mean? Put another way, the purpose of an operation is what the operation accomplishes. They've been trying to capture Sasuke for over a year. The other day they finally succeeded. You think those idiots punks wanted to take my hound alive? I don't think. I know, because that's literally what they did. They captured Sasuke and brought him down to the lower wards. Took. We're not in the lower wards now, so it's took. To torture him. Idiots, if they don't talk after the 3rd, they'll never talk at all. The 3rd what? Don't ask that, Sarah, you don't want to know the answer. It wasn't just any Blue Bloods that tortured him. It was a pod led by a young blood named Creek. Young, old, bound by blood or water, they're all the same scum. As you say, but I've learned that there are some pretty big ideological rifts among that scum. The young bloods captured him, no doubt on Old Guard orders, but just an hour ago an Old Guard was asking after Sasuke's health. They didn't want him harmed. A generous interpretation. I'm guessing the young bloods knew that, but they tortured him anyway. Probably because they wanted to know why they'd been repeatedly ordered to capture him. Out with it. Why do they want my hound? What the Blue Bloods want ultimately is simple. So simple that my android can answer this one. I can? What do the Blue Bloods need right now more than anything? A lot of money, without which they can't invest in legalized nirvana. Such a shame that, but we'll be happy to pick up where they left off. So at a time when they need money, they're throwing the young bloods at capturing Sasuke. Ergo, capturing Sasuke must open a path for them to get their hands on a lot of cash. I really feel like I'm being spoon-fed something that I realised a long time ago. My, I look away for a few days and suddenly my hound skyrocketed in value. Who do I have to thank? Who raised the price on his head to such a degree? What about Sasuke makes him so valuable? His blood. Who raised the price on Sasuke's head? You did. 30 years ago you made him irreplaceable when you killed everyone else who shares a drop of his blood. Sasuke is the little lord? Oh god, it's taken so long to reach this point. Bloody, someone in the comments called this ages ago. Like, before I did. And I really don't know why they thought Chopin was the Little Lord. Like, there is absolutely no evidence for it. Any suggestion that it could be was based on purely circumstantial things. It's such a bizarre diversion for this episode to go down, focusing on Chopin, and then, yeah. Anyway, I'm glad we're finally here. Sasuke is the Little Lord? Last descendant of the Blue Bloods' ruling families, and the only person on Earth who can get them back their fortunes. Hell of a shot in the dark. You gonna deny it? Sarah, when did the attack, supposedly on Makoto, begin? About a year ago? What else happened about a year ago? The meeting between the Blue Bloods and the Ikariya that fell into chaos. Makoto made it out without a scratch, but only because Sasuke stepped in front of a blade for him. I can assume that Sasuke is an impressive martial artist. With very well-defined pectorals and collarbones, Sarah. But even he must have left blood on the floor that day. Yeah, he bled that day. It's not as if he bled blue. You telling me the old guard could just smell the resemblance? They didn't need intuition or guesswork. Their private security organization, Cyanus, is in the business of securing crime scenes, cleaning them up, and performing paternity tests. Okay, it didn't clock that was going to be relevant. Could have been on a whim, could have been that they were hoping to match DNA left at other hound attacks. Who knows? But I would pay good money to have been a fly on the wall when they saw the results. His reaction to this information is not very strong. That's to be expected. I just told him a bunch of information that he already knew. He already knew Sasuke was the Little Lord? That chess metaphor you used a minute ago would have sounded like solid reasoning if I actually played. Unfortunately for you, I find the game boring. So it struck me as very odd that a grandfather like you, equal parts doting and calculating, would ever place his heir's safety below concerns as vague as optimal play. You didn't object to Sasuke guarding Makoto because you wanted to keep your hound. You just couldn't convince the rest of the house that it was a bad idea without revealing who Sasuke really is. If he knew Sasuke was the real target and would keep getting attacked, then having him guard Makoto would actually be putting Makoto in danger. Okay, so that's the opposite of what I was saying. Yeah, it was actually a stroke of genius putting them together because that's where he was safest. No, never mind, it's the opposite of that. You know bonsai? They look like miniature trees, but they aren't. They're shrubs. You condition it to look like a miniature tree by pruning it daily until it stops trying to grow into what it's meant to be, and instead lives as what you want it to be. Took the Blue Bloods 30 years to figure out my scheme, and you solved it in, what, 48 hours? You deserve a toast. Now I wish that Sake was in the storeroom. Instead, as a reward for your efforts, I'll give you a story. 30 years ago, I saw the future. Not in statistics or stock prices or consumer confidence indexes. I saw it in people's eyes. Fear and delusion. The sinking feeling that maybe everything really is made of bullshit and seafoam. And that if you ever stop to look down at it, you'll fall through to the bottom. Can't warn people, they won't believe you. They'll strangle you to death for implying their boat might have a leak. Only one thing to do in times like those. Take advantage. For 1 year we pulled back, no resistance, no bargaining. We let the Blue Bloods hungrily swallow what we had left behind. For 1 full year we withdrew and waited and sharpened our knives. 1 year of preparation for 1 weekend in August. Hottest August on record, they left all the goddamn windows open. So it went fast. We'd show up, get to work, leave the mess for whoever cared to see it, and drive to the next address. I did 22 myself. And even had you asked me back then, I couldn't tell you the first thing about any of them. Except for the 22nd. She had firm eyes, cold eyes. No, not that harsh. Cool eyes, like condensation on steel. And she was very brave. When I took aim at her, she blinked, not even upset, just exasperated, like I'd neglected to hold the door for her. My mouth was dry, felt like I hadn't spoken all day. Had to clear my throat to speak up so that she could hear me over the babbling of the river she'd fled to. And the shots in the distance. Wanted to ask her why. Why out here? Why not a panic room? Why was she wearing a medical gown and why her thighs were covered in blood? But instead I just asked, why aren't you afraid? She said, I can't be afraid. I'm a mum now. I've always liked that answer. So when the pistol stopped ringing in my ears and I heard the baby wailing in the bushes, I felt inspired. It's a tradition in our family going back centuries that the eldest child be guarded from birth by a nursemaid, typically from a branch family. My wife will be due soon and the Hayakawa clan had been an unfortunate casualty of that month. There was an opening. Expertly done. But why let him live? Adone? So that I could invent the Little Lord. Build your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. You started the rumours about a survivor? Fuck me, that is a twist. As long as those fools still had hoped they could reclaim their former glory, they'd never rally themselves into chipping away at ours. And if they ever did become a real threat again, I'd have the world's most valuable hostage ready to put them back in check. You turned your enemy's last hope into a meat shield for your family, and eventually your personal attack dog. That was just a bonus. The heir had come of age, and so had Sasuke. He was free to choose any career in the family business at that point. He became the Hound of his own accord. I'm sure. But that's just irrelevant at the end of the day. What? Helps me understand why the Blue Bloods have done what they have, but it doesn't put me any closer to proving Sasuke's innocence. She really doesn't care. Like, alright, I just need to take a sec if we are moving on from that. Like, that twist, that is so cool. Like, I for ages I have known that he was the Little Lord. It didn't once occur to me that it was because of Daisuke's own choice that it be started the rumour. And yeah, it suddenly did make me think of like Makoto's obsession with Sun Tzu and such. Yeah, it is an incredibly good strategy to make someone think that there is a perfectly clear escape route for them. Or rather, more so than that, it's good to make them think there is an escape route if they just fight through a little bit. You know, a perfectly open escape route, that's suspect. An escape route that they have to fight through, then fight to reach, they're more likely to believe that. And the twist is that there is no escape. Except in this case there is. You know, the starting the rumour and him being dead? that would be the ultimate, like, lock-off. But starting the rumour and it being true, that undermines his strategic genius. But Sasuke is their little lord. If we tell people, won't that change anything? Well, for starters, we won't have any of this in court. Of course not. Can't exactly go telling the court about my exploits 30 years ago, not when we have attorney-client privilege. But if you use your influence, if you reach out to the Blue Bloods... What, we'll work together to set Sasuke free? I killed everyone he could ever consider family, Copper. Besides a few old crooks waiting to die, anyone who shares a drop of his blood is in the ground. Most of them put there by me. I did all of that to sink the Blue Bloods. Now that they're finally ready to die, you think I'd throw them a lifeline just to protect one man? Just to keep one man out of prison? He's right, I'm not allowed to disclose anything I've learned here without his express permission. It would complicate the tax suit against my family terribly if it came out that I'd lied about a blood relation, wouldn't it? Sasuke's in the will, after all. That's the law. Didn't mean to run you in circles, honestly. I would have preferred you never wasted your time unearthing any of this. That's what I get for relying on him to deliver a message, I suppose. You're the one who wanted to keep my investigation limited? Oh! Ha! London. Ha! I thought you'd get the picture and hurry up and make a plea deal, negotiate the charges down to manslaughter. Get this all squared away so we can focus on fighting this damn audit. Audit? Sasuke's on trial for his life. Sasuke's sworn to protect his family with his life. I'm respecting his wishes. If he does go to prison, the Blue Bloods will die knowing their little lord is alive. But permanently beyond their reach, rotting in a cell for killing their own men in defense of their own worst enemy. I can see why you wouldn't mind that outcome. A hostage that you're never willing to sacrifice isn't a hostage, that's just a babysitting gig. I spared his life 30 years ago. This doesn't even cover his interest. So Sasuke's always been a tool for you? A hostage you'd protect until the perfect use came along? I've always wondered, do tools appreciate that part? When they're used properly, what do you think, Copper? Does Sasuke have any complaints? That doesn't make sense. Huh? Sasuke is a veteran. He served in the military. Did you grant your hostage permission to go risk his life for his country instead of you? It's not like he was one of those Minutemen they throw at walls. He was never in any real danger. What about as your hound? Deadly assassination and infiltration missions, he could have died during any of them. Why let your perfect hostage, your obedient tool, take on such dangerous work? Why give him your last name? Why let him live under your roof, raise him like a son? Why trust him with protecting the life of your son, your grandson? Why are you lying and pretending you don't... Pardon my android's outburst, sir. I'll have to adjust her conversational parameters later. Don't bother. Just rip his voice box out entirely if he's going to speak over a man under his own roof. Goddamn Copper. Next the furniture will be telling me how I feel about my goddamn family. Raise him like a son, what bullshit. I have no son. Counselor. Do your damn job and tell Sasuke to do his. Now. I have no son. I have no son. I assume he's just referring specifically to Sasuke there. But he does have another son. So why would you be like, I have no son, you know? That phrase, that could be clumsy phrasing. My instinct is telling me that's just clumsy phrasing and not making a point about his wider attitude to his own literal blood family. I'm sorry, that wasn't very butler-like behaviour just now. It's fine, it was a good play in that moment. But do you think he meant that? I don't know. I think I believe it. Apart from the I have no son. But I do think that he did see Sasuke mostly as a tool. Because, I don't know, I'd say there is like a 1 in 4 that he does care about him in a way, but overall he's still a tool. I don't know. Do you think he meant it when he said he has no son? Oh, okay, they are actually addressing this. Makoto is Daisuke's grandson. If he has no sons, then the previous heir that Sasuke grew up guarding must have been Makoto's mother? Sorry, hang on.